So the plan today was to hook up with the trailhead of the Rideau Trail. Now, I do know that it's closed in behind Parliament Hill. Do some exploring there and see, but you can access the trail right now from in front of the Mill Street Brewery at the Portage Bridge and head down. Our plan today is to go somewhere between about 22 and 30 kilometers, just depends on how we feel. It's an urban hike, so it'll be very different than what I usually do, but let's hit the trail and have some fun. Up there is Parliament Hill. Lots of construction going on the hill right now. They're doing major reconstruction projects. We're going to do a little detour. We went down to the trailhead and we can't get in behind Parliament Hill right now. It's closed. I guess they're doing a bunch of renovations on it. So we'll go back up, walk past Parliament Hill, and then come back down to the river and hit the trail a little further over. The trailhead's a very cool area to walk around in if you haven't been down here before. All right, well, there is a map in front of Parliament Hill that shows the access is closed, and it's closed all the way down to the Portage Bridge. So basically all the way from the trailhead to the Portage Bridge. But you know what? The scenery is pretty nice as you're passing down through the parliamentary precinct anyway. So it's not a bad walk. All right, and finally found an access that I can get on. Past the Portage Bridge, even being welcomed by a couple of Canada geese. Just walk down and catch the trail here just short of the War Museum. Parliament Hill on the right. This trail straddles two provinces. This is Gatineau, Quebec, which is directly across the river from Ottawa, and we're walking on the Ottawa side. One of the constants along the trail, the Canada geese. But don't get too close to them because they are not necessarily friendly. Now the trail markers have been sparse along this area, but the trail's fairly obvious. You just basically follow in the pathway. And here's another detour. Seems to be doing a lot of that this morning. After about 5 minutes on the detour, we are back on the main trail. Says it all. Another connection over to Gatineau. This one's a walking and multi-use trail on the Chief William Commander Bridge, former rail line. One thing I don't mind doing along these stretches of trail, they're multi-use, so cyclists and all kinds of other people are using them. Just walk on the grass. That gives everybody lots of room to go by. With all these rocky outcrops and islands, this stretch coming up to Parkdale, just coming out of the downtown, is really quite pretty. As with a lot of the NCC trails, lots of interpretive signage so that you can understand what's going on and also stay oriented. Tradition here in Ottawa is to have inuksuks along the shoreline. There's a sign up on the trail that asks people to respect the artists who craft these things and not touch them, not destroy them. So I am admittedly a little bit off the trail here, but lots of places you can get down to the water and walk along the shoreline and explore. And it gets you off the trail, especially when the bike traffic really starts to pick up. There are even bathrooms in a couple of spots along the trails, but you want to just time yourself. If you're doing a long hike, time yourself carefully, because there's not a lot of places where you're allowed to have a ticket. As you're walking along the river, the further west you go, the more of the larger trees you see as you get out of the downtown. There haven't been very many tall trees up to now. First significant signpost along the way coming out of the downtown. Champlain Bridge at Island Park Road. Goes over to Gatineau. Next significant trail marker probably going to be, I would say, maybe Britannia Beach. Another, I don't know, 8 or 10K down the trail. Yet another trail closure. It is the upper path closest to the parkway that's closed. Seems like the lower path, which is older and maybe not quite as great for bikes and stuff like that, but for walking is perfectly fine. This one seems to be fully open. So as we leave the city, there's a long, nice stretch along the river. The scenery really changes on the Gatineau side. We get out of the core of the city there, and the views are a little bit nicer if you like, you know, more trees and natural one. So I'll be the first to admit that in 2024, this particular portion of the route as we go into Westboro is not the most scenic. There's an enormous amount of construction going on here for a new light rail transit line. It's going to run along the river here, but it's going to be down below grade level, so it won't be quite as visible as it would be. But at the moment, on your left, if you're going to the west, or on your right if you're going into the downtown, it's not particularly scenic. Across Woodruff Avenue, we're about 11.2K into the walk. So roughly the halfway point. And even with all the filming and the stops, been about 2.5 hours. Making very good time. Okay, this is not part of the trail, but I mean, really, it looks like a hobbit hole. I gotta check this out. Yeah, I might detour around that. This is kind of unusual. We're at the Deschênes Rapids, and it looks like the Canada geese are practicing social distancing here. And when they're on the path, they're kind of fearless. They're used to the people, they don't care. We're now approaching the city's water treatment plant, and an area called Mud Lake's going to be up ahead, a kilometer or so on the right hand side, and then we will continue walking down onto Britannia Beach. And I'm sure this will surprise you, but yet another detour. After detouring through the neighborhood there along Clover and a couple of small paths, we're heading back down now towards the main trail. The section that borders the Mud Lake Trail and heads over to Britannia Beach is very long, very straight. Coming into Britannia Beach, and if you can time it right and hit Britannia Beach for a meal time or a break, it's awesome. It's an absolutely beautiful part of the city. I'm not going to bother going down to the beach area today, but very, very popular spot. And with the picnic tables and a little bit of the shade, and we're also out of the wind, this is a great spot to stop, have a sandwich, have a drink. Between the flooding and the storms in recent years, they've really taken a toll on a lot of these shoreline trees. But the woodpeckers sure like them. Now the main trail is up top, and there's just a small little walking trail that we are on, and it's beside it, but it's actually protected a little bit and staying out of that wind, which is directly out of the northwest, and actually still quite chilly. Certainly not complaining about that. Now we've reached the point where we transition to what's known as the Watts Creek pathway. It's a continuation. You just have to cross over the road, and we'll now move away from the river for a while and maybe out of the wind a bit. This stretch of pathway runs right in between two residential areas. However, as you transition up away from the river, there's a lot less people on the trail. And that's as you cross Holly Acres, there's a tricky little transition here. You have to kind of look around for the different signs. But across the road, keep going. and then hang a left. This area of the path is a little less exciting. We have the highway 417 up on our left, and we're just going between that and the river, which is about 1 kilometer over on the right. We'll do a lot less videoing along here. As we move along this area, there's just a lot less to see. It's kind of a transition between the city and the forested area that we're headed to. Wow. I'm out at Corkstown Road, and yet another detour. Alright, so this is not the intended route, but I'm walking along Carling. I'm going to go up to the next intersection, cut up to rejoin the trail. Unfortunately, there were no signs as to where I could rejoin the trail once I got off it. There was just one detour sign and nothing else directing you back. All right, so after all that fun, I have hung a left at Moody, and I'm going to go up and rejoin the trail, which should be open at that point. And it is still known as the Watts Creek pathway, even this far over. And we're now passing Wesley Clover Park. That's a very large equestrian center that is actually mentioned in one of my other videos. The hike from Bell's Corners down to Shirley's Bay, and actually we'll be bisecting that trail in just a few minutes. That's a rather large flock of birds. Starlings, I think. And we are back at what for me is a familiar spot. This is where the Watts Creek Trail joins up with the western pathway that goes down towards Bell's Corners. This is a really nice forested area, and it will be most of the way back to Bell's Corners. If you're interested and want to see this trail in more detail, I do have another video up. It's called Ottawa's Great Hikes, and it covers the section from Bell's Corners to Shirley's Bay, which is the trail that we are on now. And here we are at the end of the trail as we come out into the open, back at Bell's Corners, Robertson Road. Probably in total, did about 25 kilometers, so not bad at all. The weather's been beautiful, other than that stiff, cold northwest wind. But hey, it is the end of March, and there's no snow on the ground, so we will take that. One great thing about this hike is that you can go as far as you want. You can start anywhere along these trails. You can park a car in one location, go down, start from another location, and then drive back, or you can do an out and back. There's lots of different places where you can set sort of waymarks and turn around. So, really get out and enjoy this awesome city that we live in.